disgusting man. In this case, truly bothers me to no end. I read about it. I saw a lot of videos about it, and it made me cry. Let's just put it that way. It made me angry. I don't know why, but this one really disgusted me. It's always the children. When kids are taken too soon, it's very, very, very heartbreaking. That's literally the only thing I can say, is it's heartbreaking as hell. And in this case, we can learn something. So that's why I do want to go over it. It is solved. So there is no what happened. The man who took our life did admit to the crimes. So without further ado, let's get into it. It looks like this blog post was posted literally 6 days ago on July 23rd, 2021. I'm filming this on July 29th, my son's birthday. It begins with a quote from Alianna's grandmother. "I can see the evil that's in him, and we have to tell everybody. This is what evil looks like." It was the 26th of January, 2017, a Thursday. At 4 p.m. that afternoon, Tanisha Cooper expected her daughter to come in like normal, race through the doors, and show up. Now, Alianna was 14 years old, only 14. She expected her to, run into their Cleveland, Ohio home. Cleveland, Ohio is in the United States, by the way. Well, there may be another one somewhere else, who knows. But she left early that morning, as she had early class, at school, so she had to catch the bus. When Alianna wasn't home just after 4 p.m., Tanisha called the school to ask them if Alianna, was still there. They informed her that she did not show up for class that day. Now, why in God's name did they not call her immediately? I'm unsure. But if I don't know about this class, this school, this place, but if I missed any kind of class, like the first 10 minutes, they'd call your parents if you didn't show up to school, in my case. So, obviously, Tanisha is sitting there really, really, really nervous, wondering where in God's name her baby girl is. Now, Alianna had a developmental disorder and would not have gone anywhere that she was not supposed to go. When she wasn't at school, she played with her baby dolls and cared for her younger brother. Alianna left for school that morning pisses me the fuck off, to be very fucking blunt. It pisses me the fuck. This baby girl was missing for 10 hours and not a goddamn person knew where she was. Okay, I'm just gonna take it back. I'm gonna calm down now. Anyway, it's very frustrating because, like, this blog post is saying time is of the fucking essence. So it's just very frustrating. 10 hours had gone by. But the school, despite Alianna never missing a day before without prior notice, never notified Tanisha that she wasn't in class that day. The police obtained surveillance footage from the area from a number of different businesses in a bid to try and track Alianna's movements as she began her day. Now, they established that she got on the Regional Transit Authority bus about 6:45 a.m. on East 149th Street north of Kinsman Avenue and got off the bus to switch lines at East 93rd and Kinsman Avenue. But Alianna never made it to the second bus. Surveillance footage established a person of interest that the police needed to identify. A man was seen on the footage. The man is seen walking up and down the street, and then suddenly, of course, Alianna appears on the footage. She takes 2 steps backwards and then continues to just walk past this guy. I've done that move. Walking down the street. Oh, Jesus Christ. Who's that guy? That kind of thing, But the man completely follows her. And police searched the area, and 3 days after Alianna was reported missing, they searched this weird, random, abandoned house. And they saw that the door was open, so they entered. The house had no electricity, and they had to bring light in with them so they could even see anything. And when they entered the house, they saw bloody footprints, smear stains of blood all throughout the house. In the bedroom, they found a training bra. They found a ripped black school sweater, a black shoe, and then a ripped condom wrapper. Police found Alianna's body as well. She had been brutally beaten, raped, tortured with tools, and then stabbed. The man on the surveillance was identified as Christopher Whitaker. Now, police, of course, questioned him, and he told them that he heard about Alianna, of course, from the news reports from the area, but he didn't know her. That's a damn lie. And he said that he was doing drywall work on some houses in the area, in that, that little small area, the day that she went missing. When his trial, it was the prosecution's case that it was a violent and premeditated murder, one that deserved a sentence no less than the death penalty. But Alianna's mother didn't agree. By the way, she thought that, death was too good for this mother. Christopher had abducted Alianna when she was on her way to school. He had taken her to this abandoned house where he raped, he tortured, and he killed her. The court heard about the house where Alianna's body was found, and Detective Carlin testified that you could tell there was this violent trauma in the house. You could tell by stepping foot and looking around, you could tell that there was something violent that occurred there due to the amount of blood, the splatters, the stains in all of these various places of the home, of the house. Now there was a trail of blood that led from the hallway into a bedroom, and this kind of went behind this closed door. And the court heard how one of the officers kicked in the door, and he had found Alianna's naked body in a corner of the bedroom. Alianna was in a pool of her own blood. There were wounds to the back of her head and major wounds to her eye and her face, her forehead area. The medical examiner testified about the injuries. And again, I'm gonna give you a little trigger warning. This is sick, okay? It's gross. So he testified about the injuries that Alianna had endured. The court heard that Alianna survived the horrific violence inflicted on her for at least several hours. I can't pinpoint a number, but it was several hours before she was ultimately murdered. Alianna was raped and then beaten and tortured and stabbed. A number of tools were used. The jury were shown how marks on Alianna's face matched a drill found extremely close to her body. Other tools used included a screwdriver, a box cutter, and a hammer. One of her eyes was dislodged completely from her eye socket from the amount of force. And due to the extent of her injuries, the medical examiner could not say with any degree of certainty what Alianna's exact cause of death exactly was, because she was beaten and stabbed so bad. So all he can say is that she was beaten and stabbed to death, pretty much. Now the prosecutor, Mahmoud Awadallah, showed the jury the Black and Decker drill, the Phillips screwdriver head, nut driver, and box cutter that were all used on Alianna. He also showed them multiple photographs of the puncture wounds to Alianna's face and head. The drill matched 4 puncture wounds to her cheek and a wound on her forehead that dislodged her right eyeball from its socket. The box cutter matched several slash-type wounds found on Alianna's neck, and the court heard that there were too many slash wounds to count, as many of the wounds showed signs of healing that indicated that Alianna was alive for several hours after he had inflicted them onto her. The defense attorney, Thomas Schlossner, witnesses, it was clear that the focus of their case was in relation to the penalty phase. Now, they just didn't want him to get the death penalty. That was their main goal. The jury deliberated for 6 hours and found Christopher guilty on all 10 charges of kidnapping, of raping, and killing Alianna. They didn't recommend, or they recommended actually, that he should receive the death sentence. And the judge could have sentenced him to life in prison, but she ended up agreeing with the jury, and he received the death sentence along with 48 years. Like this whole separate sentence of 48 years, separate from his death sentence for his convictions of aggravated burglary, rape, felonious assault, obstruction of justice, and gross abuse of a corpse charges. In sentencing, Judge Carolyn Friedland said, "The circumstances that Christopher's attorneys presented to convince jurors to spare his life pale in comparison to the barbarity of the evidence of what he did to the girl." Alianna's mother, Tanisha Cooper, gave a statement after that, sentence was handed out to Christopher, or handed down to Christopher. "I appreciate the jury for making their judgment and their recommendation, but death is too good for him, and I won't believe he has any remorse until he suffers like my daughter suffered, and his apology means nothing to me." When Christopher murdered Alianna, he was already a registered sex offender. And get this. In 2005, Christopher called a 45-year-old woman several times throughout the night. He asked if he could use the restroom in her apartment at the Trinity Towers apartment complex on Rockside Road in Bedford Heights. She let him in, and guess what he did? He choked her unconscious. Then Christopher sexually assaulted the woman, because why would he not? And then he just left her while she was unconscious, but he stabbed her twice in the neck with scissors. And Christopher was caught and only charged with attempted aggravated murder in relation to that case. And then he was released from prison in 2009. So if that first woman were to have just gotten her justice and he would have been locked up, Alianna would still be alive today. It really, I don't know how to put it. It pisses me off. Now I have to think about this even more while I lay in bed. Who knows what I'm gonna do? But this has been, like Bailey Sarian says, heavy on my noggin. So if you guys are upset about the mini mic, I'm so sorry. This is all I have right now. I have to get a new little the white adapter thing